Pikachu almost dies after being attacked by Spearows. Pikachu almost dies after being attacked by Spearows. All of Ash's Pokémon huddled together to keep Ash warm in an ice cave. In Snow Way Out episode 64, Ash gets trapped in a freezing, snow-filled cave. He wraps his Pokeballs in his jacket to keep them warm and begs Pikachu to get into his Pokeball, so he doesn't freeze to death. Pikachu refuses to leave Ash alone in the cold, and instead all of Ash's Pokémon break out of their Pokeballs. They huddle together to keep each other warm throughout the freezing night. Pikachu is in an endless battle with his clone. The first Pokémon movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, saw more than a couple tearful moments. One of the saddest moments was when Pikachu refused to fight his clone, Pikachu. In the film, Mewtwo's cloning machine goes nuts and the Pokémon start savagely battling their clones, but Ash's Pikachu refuses to fight back, despite the fact that he's being beaten over and over again. Seeing Pikachu's tear-filled eyes as he's beat senseless by his clone, who is so tired he can barely stand, is far more than any human heart can take without cracking a tiny little bit. Espurr drives off to grandmother's gravesite. In Seeking Shelter from the Storm episode 813, Ash and his friends run into an abandoned house for shelter. We quickly find out the home is haunted by the ghost Pokémon Espurr. So why is Espurr hanging out there and refusing to leave? Because it's waiting for someone. Espurr was best friends with the old lady who lived there. She would play with the Pokémon like it was her child, but one day when Espurr came back to play, old woman was gone. Unfortunately, Espurr eventually gets the answer none of us want to hear: the old woman has passed away. The scene at the very end of this episode just tears your heart apart. Espurr sits with the woman's granddaughter as they drive to the graveyard so Espurr can say goodbye and put a flower on her grave. It's not often that someone dies in Pokémon, so it's hard to be ready for it when it actually happens. A bunch of Pokémon thought their trainers died in the film Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. Every Pokémon movie has a heartrending moment, but this one was so bad because it was a total fake-out. Haven't we learned by now that everything always works out in the Pokémon world? In Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, red antibodies envelope and carry away Pokémon trainers in order to release their Pokémon. The Pokémon start fighting back, trying to save their trainers but fail. They soon realize they've lost the war and all of their trainers are dead. They begin heavily sobbing, and so do we. Of course, no one is actually dead, and Ash and his friends eventually conquer evil. But our little hearts can't take Pikachu sobbing and wearing Ash's hat because he thinks Ash was murdered. Ash tries to feed berries to a dying Celebi. In Pokémon Forever, Celebi is in bad shape after the forest it lives in is destroyed. Ash repeatedly tries to feed Celebi healing berries, refusing to admit that the Pokémon has passed away. Watching the berries continuously fall into the water until Ash screams, "Celebi, you can't die," is just too much, especially when all the Pokémon in the forest start screaming in anguish over Celebi's death. Thankfully, Celebi ends up being revived. Pikachu is turned into stone. In Pokémon the movie XY, Diancie and the Cocoon of Destruction, it's Pikachu's turn to become stone. In this scene, A tearful Ash runs towards Pikachu and holds him as he slowly turns into Stone Eye. Dies. He's dead. Ash starts sobbing and yelling, "Come back, Pikachu." Not only was this sad because Pikachu is basically dying, but Xerneas saves him by turning into a tree. Can't Pikachu and Ash go through a single film without something heartbreaking happening? Pikachu chooses Ash over freedom. Straight up, this moment could have totally been avoided by proper communication between Ash and his little yellow BFF. Instead, every kid who saw this episode got to cry the entire way to school, being unable to shake the emotional trauma they just endured. In the gut-wrenching episode, Pikachu's Goodbye episode 39, Ash realizes that Pikachu seems a whole lot happier being free in the forest with his brand new Pikachu friends. Ash decides he's going to release Pikachu into the wild for his own good. However, Pikachu doesn't completely want to leave Ash behind either. Cue the life-shattering, tear-filled montage of Pikachu and Ash's most emotional moments throughout the series. After our guts are dragged out of our bodies through our tear ducts, Ash walks away from Pikachu in tears, but Pikachu runs after him. Pikachu chooses a life with Ash over being happy and free. Ash sobs as Pikachu embraces him, triggering a mountain of tears from every single elementary-aged kid in America and Japan. Ash sends Butterfree off with his mate. In Bye Bye Butterfree episode 21, Ash says goodbye to the beloved Butterfree he has raised since it was a little caterpie. The saddest part was that this farewell, no matter how painful, was for the good of the Pokemon. Butterfree needed to go off and find his mate to truly be happy, and Ash knew he had to let him go. Of course, it can't just be a happy moment. This tear-filled goodbye has to rip out our heartstrings with a sad montage of Ash's happiest memories with his bug-type BFF. Most of us have been trying to forget about this tear-inducing moment for the better part of 2 decades, but it's proven to be impossible. Ash says goodbye to Charizard. In Charizard's Burning Ambitions, episode 134, Ash says goodbye to his beloved Charizard, the Charizard who was once a little, dying Charmander he found abandoned on the side of the road. Charizard has ambitions of greatness and hasn't really been getting along with Ash. But that doesn't change the fact that Ash doesn't want him to go. In the tearful moment, Charizard must decide whether or not to stay in the Valley of the Charizards to train. Ash starts throwing insults in an attempt to make him want to stay because it's for his own good. Ash says, "Stay if you want to. I can get along just fine without you. Who wants a weak Charizard anyway?" Charizard is shocked and saddened by the thought of leaving his friend. Even Pikachu turns around with a disheartened shrug. The moment ends with Ash running away in tears saying, "I don't want to leave you, but I know you have to stay." Charizard yells and blows fire in the air, and Ash never looks back because he knows that would change Charizard's mind. How could the show's creators put such young children through this sort of emotional torment? Thankfully, the pair meet again several times throughout the series until episode 773, when Charizard returns to Ash for good. Charmander is abandoned by his trainer. Charmander is abandoned by his trainer. Ash is turned to stone and brought back by Pikachu's tears. Ash is turned to stone and brought back by Pikachu's tears.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care. Bye.